Hello, colleagues. Thank you. Last time we looked at brucellosis, the introduction. At this time, we are going to see the last part of brucellosis. Modrik's is my name, and those are the details of how to get all this information. And that's the link that you can subscribe and you'll all get the message. As for today, we are going to look at the management of brucellosis. We are going to list the preventive measures for brucellosis. We shall see the persons who are at risk of brucellosis. And lastly, we shall mention the complication of brucellosis. Here we go. After knowing brucellosis, that is a condition that is caused by Brucella species, we call it mild fever or anadolent fever, highly febrile, contagious disease. How can we manage this person who has gotten brucellosis? We are going to administer antibiotics such as tetracycline, rifampicin, and aminoglycoside, for example, streptomycin and gentamicin. These antibiotics are effective against Brucella bacteria. So, if you are administering these antibiotics, we say that the use of more than one antibiotic is needed for several weeks. And the reason why we say that you can use more than one antibiotic is that the bacteria incubates within the cell. So, it takes long for these drugs now to enter the cell to kill the bacteria. That's why the client with brucellosis is going to be on antibiotic for quite long. And we talk about the gold standard treatment for adults is daily intramuscular injection of streptomycin 1 gram for 14 days. And this will follow it with oral doxycycline twice daily for 45 days. So the standard way or the golden standard treatment of adults who have brucellosis, we shall treat them with streptomycin 1 gram and doxycycline, and these drugs can be given concurrently. So still continues management. If you opt to give this aminoglycoside like gentamicin, you'll give 5 milligrams per kilogram body weight, and this can be given IM or IV daily, once daily for 7 days. And we are saying if that is a substitute, you can substitute it with streptomycin if gentamicin is not available. Another widely used regimen is doxycycline plus rifampicin twice daily for at least 6 weeks. This regimen has the advantage that it is oral. Rifampicin and doxycycline, as you use them in treating brucellosis, for them it has oral drugs someone can swallow, but of course has to swallow for not less than 6 weeks. Then also can use a triple therapy of doxycycline with rifampicin and chlorphenoxazole. And we are saying it has been used successfully, especially in treatment of neurobrucellosis. If a client has neurobrucellosis, then the best option is to use this triple therapy of doxycycline with rifampicin and chlorphenoxazole. This will work on neurobrucellosis very well. So that one has been the brief management of brucellosis, as we know that's the bacterial disease. How can we, what are those preventive measures for brucellosis? How can we stop the disease from spreading from one person to another? 1, boil milk before use. As we have said, brucellosis is a bacterial infection, and this bacterial infection is typically from the animal because this is a zoonotic disease. So milk before being taken, need to boil it well. Pasteurize all milk that is to be ingested by human. Ensure that milk for any use is boiled. What about the one to be ingested by human? It has to be pasteurized. Pasteurized means that we heat it to a temperature of 78 degrees. Another way to prevent brucellosis is early diagnosis and treatment of all people who are infected. Then another thing, stop or restrict transportation and eating beef or animal product in infected area. Once we notice that a certain area now has people with brucellosis or has animals that are now having brucellosis, we restrict movement and even transportation so that these people shouldn't act as the source of spreading brucellosis to other areas. Those are some of the preventive measures on how we are going to handle or prevent brucellosis. We are looking now at people at risk of brucellosis. Who are those? One, we are talking of occupational exposure of laboratory workers. People who work in the laboratories are at risk just because samples are taken to them before they know what is happening, and they find they are now getting in touch with an infectious agent. Then there is abattoirs, and that is slaughterhouses. People who work in these slaughterhouses, they are at risk, and because they have slaughtered several animals, sometimes they may not have tested whether they have brucellosis or not, and hence this house makes these people who stay in the slaughterhouse to be at risk. Then you talk about the veterinarians, veterinary doctors. This was special in looking at animals, treating them. They are likely to encounter this brucellosis as they touch the secretions and blood of these animals. Then you talk about slaughterhouse workers. People work in slaughterhouses, they are at risk. We talk about farmers, because these are responsible now in grazing the animals. They are also at risk. Then also talk about sellers of roasted meat. These other people along the road who call muchomo sellers or roasters. We are saying they also at risk because the animal they are selling, they may not know what it was suffering from. Those are the people at risk of brucellosis. So what are the likely complications if someone gets brucellosis and he or she is not treated? One is orchiditis, and that is the inflammation of the test. We talk about poliomyelitis, especially of the vertebra. That's the inflammation of the bones that make up the vertebra. There is abortions, especially in animals. That is expulsion of products of conception before 28 weeks. There is infertility, and that's on failure to achieve or to conceive after a certain period of time. And lastly, it can cause death. So brucellosis needs to be managed. Once not managed, someone can eventually die. That marks the end of what we need to talk about in brucellosis. Thank you for listening. Let us meet as we talk about some other new topic, and you can follow this video that we have just coded on that YouTube channel. Thank you so much, and God bless you.